Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this.
Jiminy Crickets, if you stuck around with how it works till now in our relaxing and reading series, congratulations. It's quite boring covering steam engines, but that's the point, isn't it? May you relax and clear your mind and listen. We're picking up with the Parsons turbine. At the Grand Naval Review held in 1897 in honor of Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee, one of the most noteworthy sightings was the little turbinia of 44.5 tons burthen, which darted about among the floating forts at a speed much surpassing that of the faster destroyer. Inside the nimble little craft were engines developing 2,000 horsepower, without any of the clank and vibration which usually reigns in the engine room of a high-speed vessel. The turbinia was the first turbine-driven boat, and as such, every part from her extraordinary pace, she attracted great attention. Since 1897, the Parson turbine has been installed on many ships, including several men of war, and it seems probable that the time is not far distant when reciprocating engines will be abandoned on all high-speed craft. Description of the Parsons turbine. The essential parts of a Parsons turbine are 1. The shaft, on which is mounted 2. The drum, 3. The cylindrical casing inside which the drum revolves, 4. The vanes on the drum and casing, 5. The balance pistons. Figure 37 shows a diagrammatic turbine in section. The drum, it will be noticed, increases its diameter in 3 stages, D1, D2, and D3 toward the right. From end to end, it's studded with little vanes, mm, set in parallel rings, small distances apart. Each vane has a curved section, the hollow side facing toward the left. The vanes stick out from the drum like short spokes, and their outer ends almost touch the casing. To the latter are attached equally spaced rings of fixed vanes, FF2, pointing inward toward the drum and occupying the intervals between the rings of moving vanes. Their concave sides also face toward the left, but as seen in figure 38, their line of curve lies the reverse way to that of MM. Steam enters the casing at A and at once rushes through the vanes toward the outlet at B. It meets the first row of fixed vanes and has its path so deflected that it strikes the ring of moving, or drum, vanes in the most effective angle and pushes them round. It then has the direction changed by the ring of FF so that it may treat the next row of MM in a similar fashion. The expansive action of a steam in a turbine. On reaching the end of D1, it enters the second or intermediate set of vanes. The drum here is of greater diameter, and the blades are longer and set somewhat farther apart to give a freer passage of the now partly expanding steam, which has lost pressure but gained velocity. The process of moving is repeated through this stage, and again in D3, the low-pressure drum. The steam then escapes to the condension through B, having by this time expanded very many times, and it is found advisable, for reasons explained in connection with compound steam engines, to have a separate turbine and an independent casing for the extreme stages of expansion. The vanes are made of brass. In the turbines of the Carmania, the huge Cunard liner, 1,115,000 vanes are used. The largest diameter of the drums is 11 feet, and each low-pressure turbine weighs 350 tons. The push exerted by the steam on the blades not only turns the drum, but presses it in the direction in which the steam flows. The end thrust is counterbalanced by means of the dummy pistons P1, P2, and P3. Each dummy consists of a number of discs revolving between rings projecting from the casing, the distance between discs and rings being so small that but little steam can pass. In the high-pressure compartment, the steam pushes P1 to the left, with the same pressure as it pushes the blades of D1 to the right. After completing the first stage, it fills the passage C, which communicates with the second piston P2, and the pressure on the piston negatives the thrust on D2. Similarly, the passage E causes the steam to press equally on P3 and the vanes of D3, so that the bearings in which the shaft revolves have but little thrust to take. This form of compensation is necessary in marine as well as in stationary turbines. In the form, the dummy pistons are so proportioned that they forward thrust given by them, and the screw combined is almost equal to the thrust aft of the moving vanes. Advantages of the marine turbine. Number 1, the absence of vibration. Reciprocating engines, however well balanced, cause a shaking of the whole ship, which is very unpleasant to passengers. The turbine, on the other hand, being almost perfectly balanced, runs so smoothly at the highest speeds that, if the hand be laid on the covering, it is sometimes almost impossible to tell whether the machinery is in motion. As a consequence of this smooth running, there is little noise in the engine room, a pleasant contrast to the deafening roar of reciprocating engines. 2. Turbines occupy less room. 3. They are more easily tended. 4. They require fewer repairs, since the rubbing surfaces are very small, as compared to those of reciprocating engines. 5. They are more economical at high speeds. It must be remembered that a turbine is essentially meant for high speeds. If run slowly, the steam will escape through the many passages without doing much work. Owing to its construction, a turbine cannot be reversed like a cylinder engine. It therefore becomes necessary to fit special astern turbines in one or more of the screw shafts, for use when the ship has to be stopped or moved astern. Under ordinary conditions, these turbines revolve idly in their cases. The highest speed ever attained on the sea was the 42 mile per hour of the unfortunate Viper, a turbine destroyer which developed 11,500 horsepower, though displacing only 370 tons. This velocity would compare favorably with that of a good many expresses on certain railways that we could name. In the future, 30 miles an hour will certainly be attained by turbine-driven liners. And that, my friends, concludes our reading of How It Works by Archibald Williams from ProjectGutenberg.org that was focusing on the steam engine. Should you pick up this book yourself, because there's no cost, it's free use, on Gutenberg.org, you can pick up with Chapter 4, which gets into the internal combustion engine.